Okay, next up, we have Michelle Sholund, happily married to Mark and proud owner of 2 Cavalier King Charles Spaniels. Michelle loves to travel and going to national parks. Additionally, she is the chief candle maker of a local small business called Destination Scented Candles, which produces unique hand-poured palm wax candles, all inspired and named after popular travel destinations. Please welcome Michelle as she enlightens us with Working for Exposure.
Yeah. Hey guys. All right, so I gotta ask you a question. Would you rather be paid in exposure or would you rather be paid in money? Well, my time is really short, so I'm gonna assume that you'd rather be compensated with money because of course we all have bills. And this is inspired by a friend of my family because she would always respond to this type of question with, if I ever wanted exposure, I would take off all my clothes. But more so, I would rather have people here be more educated in the, if you're ever presented with this question, what do you do? Because generally speaking, exposure bucks do not pay the rent, they do not pay for food, gas, or other business expenses. And a lot of times, professions that are targeted for this type of exposure are freelancers and creatives. They're easy targets because a lot of times they're considered starving artists, or they just have nothing else to do, so they just have this time to work for free. Some examples of this type of exposure that are asked include like the promise of being exposed to clients that could potentially give them more work. In some fields, this is a really good thing, in others, it's not. Because realistically, a lot of people don't see your logos, business cards, and whatnot, and generally speaking, they'll ask for more free work if they do. So the aha moment here is realizing that they do have a budget, they can pay for things like a landscaper or window washers, but generally, somehow they're like, it'd be better to ask you for free. Then there's photographers that are often asked for raw images, no touch-ups, or do a photo shoot for free for an event because that's just what they do. And sadly, exposure doesn't compensate them for their time setting up and shooting and all that fun stuff. Then there's musicians, love those musicians, who often are asked to be paid for food instead of pay, or they're borrowed their original work for marketing or maybe film projects, and that doesn't help really get their exposure. Then there's some small businesses like gift shops that will, people ask them for donations to help out with certain events. And generally speaking, if you are a loyal buying customer, they will say yes. So I might be giving some mixed emotions or mixed answers. Yes, should I? No, should I? So the real question is, should you ask for work for exposure or maybe do it? And I say yes because, but I should say, preemptively, the importance is the value. Just because artists do what they love doesn't mean they should do it for free, because again, there's cost for goods and rent and delivery and all that fun stuff. So consider other monetary compensation options. Say yes if there's a donation that aligns with your passion. Maybe it's with pets and you work with pet rescues, or races, or even set up a donation box at your business. Then there's also the need to build your portfolio. So a lot of times, photographers or fashion designers or whatnot are always looking to update their stuff for seasons. And in those situations, I'd absolutely say yes. Other added benefits like adding free tickets or partnerships that include discounts on services or maybe a free booth at a sponsored event, like if you're sponsoring an event. Those are good compensations. I think that would be a very good equivalent. But then there's that no deal or deal if you like that TV show. When is it a no deal? Well, sometimes you just have to trust your gut and say no in certain situations. And one of those would probably be in the situations of scams, because generally there's a lot of nonprofits that will come up and there's a lot of individuals that will come up. Nonprofits have proper non-profit credentials where you'll know that the money's going to a specific organization versus to a specific person that might not have the good intentions. Sometimes you might be working with someone who was really good, but then turns out to be very hard or difficult to work with, might not answer the phones all the time or return your emails. That might be something you want to consider. Also, if free work is taking away from your paid work, that's another thing you'll want to kind of consider as well. So when it comes to interesting quotes, coming up on the next slide, I found this one that was very interesting in the sense that if there comes a time when you have to stop crossing oceans for people, you wouldn't jump puddles for you. And I find that very interesting because there's a lot of times in my work and others like myself, you really want to make sure that you get the compensation that you deserve because you're worth something. So just like in the game of Oregon Trail, dysentery is one of many ways you can die. But in this situation, do not be the freelancer who dies of exposure. Thank you.